Yeah, so I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some super chats up
I'll do
there.
some super chats.
Yeah,
And,
you have the reins
Syrian-
of the show. You could do whatever you
Syrian
want.
girl has just messaged me. She says she is updating her Google
Fuck. Be right back. Okay, I'll be right back.
Hangouts. So she's on her way, and that is going to be an epic conversation. I just did a great interview with the people over at Arctos and Interregnum on Syria, and we got really deep into that for about an hour and a half. And so I'm very up on the history of Syria and how this fits into the geopolitical paradigm, the false flags, why they want to remove Assad. But obviously, Syrian girl will surpass me in that regard. So I've got a lot of great questions for her when she gets her.
Perfect, dude. Perfect. Yeah, so I'll be back in
updated,
just a minute.
Okay.
And yeah, if you want to read some of the super chats that you could read up there, go ahead.
Will do.
Or yeah, cool, man.
So Snots says, such a good show tonight. Happy to see you two together. And Jay's breadth of knowledge is far beyond anything I could have ever brought to the table. If anything JF could have brought to the table. Great call, Andy. JF did have a lot of scientific prowess and knowledge. No denying that. Hello. I think she was trying to call me on Skype. So let's see. Let's see if we can get her to do Google. Sorry about that. I think she was thinking it would be a Skype interview.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. No, I'm glad you chimed into the right way. Yeah, Andy had to, we'll say, get a little bit of water there before he comes back. But
maybe I should have too.
Well, if you need to, yeah, I'll just
grab it. It's just over there.
Okay, yeah. So back to these super duper chats.
What are we talking?
Well, we were talking geopolitics and the history of globalism, the main globalist writers, and then we were getting into the topic of Syria, the Seven Nations Plan, PNAC, that kind of stuff. So what I was going to do is kind of just ask you some pretty overview, general type questions in the work that you do. Obviously, you're well known. You put out a lot of videos over the last several years. So you are the expert on Syria, and I want you to correct me if I've got anything wrong. Now, we got 50 pounds from the bad virus. If it's not possible to experience nothingness, wait, this is the one we already read. We read the Evan Schultz. So thank you, Evan. That's a big fat super chat there. But yeah, so what we want to talk about is Oded Yanan. I want to talk PNAC. I want to talk full spectrum dominance. I want to talk about white helmets, false flags. Are you cool with all that? Are you muted?
No, I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yeah.
What about Genie Energy?
About Genie Energy?
Yeah, it's this Israeli company that
the Golan Heights.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, I was going to bring that up. I had that in the notes because that seems to be a big part of why Syria is such an important chess piece, right?
Yes. Well, what's your position on Israel?
My position is that Israel was founded as a kind of Western outpost by the Atlanticists. So, for example, big geopolitical writers like Halford Mackinder wrote about how the British Empire would set up Israel to be an outpost in terms of Western civilization and its encroachments on Eurasia, right? This is how you control Eurasia, is to have these various outposts set up. So it's a Western puppet Middle Eastern situation. The Zionist state was created by, Herzl and these characters who wanted to set up a sort of secular, yet at the same time messianic religious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So,
I think they painted it as secular too.
Right, but it has a religious component to be. They think that they're the Messiah, basically.
Yeah. Basically, you've said everything I want to say.
Well, no. So we can close up the interview. No, I'm joking.
Well, it was nice to have you on, Syrian girl. No, just
hi, Andy.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
we're just talking about Israel, and we're wondering,
Yeah, I
do
was
you
just
share?
working out real quick. I was just doing some push-ups and stuff.
Oh.
No big deal. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
So we were just talking about Israel, and I'm wondering if you share the same opinion about it as Jay.
Jay, what was your I don't think we've
Well,
gotten. Really
I was just
deep
kind of giving
into
the
this.
history, and I was saying that to me it seems like it was set up to be a puppet state in the Middle East, and the people who set it up, like the Royal Society that was behind that, if you read Quigley's works, they weren't really concerned about either Jews or Arabs. They wanted to basically control both groups. But eventually what happened was, of course, that the Israelis, they overthrew British imperial rule and kind of, became the wag the dog situation to the U.S. is how I view it.
I see. So you think that it's just being all controlled, basically?
I see it as a puppet state of the U.S., but at times you could also argue that the U.S. is almost a puppet state of it. I mean, it kind of goes both ways. I see it as one giant power block of the West being the Atlantis power block of the U.S., U.K., and Israel. They always work together. They're always in tandem because they're all run. It's all run by the same people, bankers.
Yeah, definitely. I do have that belief from all the stuff that I've talked about when JF was on the show and everything, and then when we look at the power, the control that they have in banks, media, foreign industry, everything in the U.S. I could see how they're working hand in hand.
Yeah,
definitely. But why? So go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I would say why don't, I could see why people don't talk about it often because a lot of people get shut down or censored. But why aren't, with this knowledge that we know this, right? From all the evidence and the circumstantial evidence, I suppose you can say, what can we do about it? You know what I mean? Is it we're stuck now in this? Is it going to just perpetuate? Because I can't really think of a solution to fix this. I'm asking you, does anyone all they could do is
solution? Actually, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I think the first thing we should do is we should no longer be afraid to talk about it. That should be step one, because the censorship, as you said, it's out of control. Probably, okay, in Australia, we have laws that forbid you from saying certain things here. I don't think it's necessarily about Israel, though, or Zionism. But there are, things that people would, their lines...
Yeah, I know what you're saying, is that we have to... When we're talking about this stuff online, we should be careful. To the extent...
Holocaust denial, for example, in Europe is illegal. I think that the Jews were genocided in Germany and they were pushed to Palestine. That was part of the whole... that's how they got to Palestine in the first place.
Yeah.
The numbers don't really matter to me so much. But, but there are laws. I mean, there was a lot of people who were genocided as well, so it's not like other people didn't die. But even saying that can cause people to call you a Holocaust denier, because that's called, Holocaust relativism. They have a name for it, actually.
Yeah.
That how dare you, equate other people, Russian lives to Jewish lives. It's not the same thing.
Or if people question the numbers. A lot of people, I remember Aiden Paladin, who I had on the show, she was talking about certain numbers of the Polish people around there that are being skewed from certain, it's not the exact number, right? So she said that, and then people started making videos. Kevin Logan and her actually had an argument here because he called her a Holocaust a denier, but she was just talking about certain numbers. That's it, right?
You wonder why, but apparently the number is important for this messianic prophecy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's not about how like so much sympathy there is, because I'm sure that if you said there was, by your calculations, 6,500,000, that would still be wrong. Like that would still be a
100%. Yeah, yeah, like definitely. Uh, like you could keep trying to change the numbers over and over, but people were killed. That's
Yeah.
that did
Yeah,
happen.
that's the,
Yeah.
it's not so much like the fact that even people were killed, but the fact that a religion was ethnically cleansed. But they don't use the word like ethnic cleansing for some reason. But Holocaust, I don't know how that makes it different from other forms of ethnic cleansing. But there's no denying that they were ethnically cleansed. Even if like not a single person of them was killed, or even if they weren't gassed, they were removed from the place that they lived and put somewhere else. And that's ethnic cleansing. So,
Okay.
in my view, that's what happened. And like